You see me now, the victim of those January OGL Wars. I'm the only one that's still talking about this. Everybody else chooses to ignore. See what I did there? It's 10:40 in the morning, my lovelies. It's the 22nd day of September in the year of our Lord Steve the Cat 2023, and it's Friday. It has been 8 months that since the OGL Wars began / ended, and nothing has been resolved. We are still sniping each other, posting videos about each other, talking about each other, telling each other how horrible we are. This guy's telling blah, 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 blah. Nothing has changed. Meanwhile, all the individuals who in the industry who said they were going to step up and do something about it, so far, pretty much, no new news. All right, so let's go to C7D20 from Crucible 7. So Crucible 7 announced they were going to do their thing. They're calling it C7D20. I'm not sure why. I guess all the other good names were taken. According to their blog, which was updated on September 22nd, they were looking for writers for C7D20. Specifically, they were looking for writers for the Laundry 2nd edition. Whether the Laundry 2nd edition is going to be using C7D20 or not, I don't know, but that's it. It just says that they were looking for writers, even though it said that they were looking for writers for C7D20. Other than that, on September 5th, they announced they were doing some new stuff for Warhammer. And then on September 22nd, they announced that they released an adventure called A Life Well Lived, which is a 5e adventure. So they are still making product for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons as of today. As for what's going on with Crucible 7D20, they're stepping into the war. Nothing at all. Moving on to Tales from the Valiant. Because from Kobold, we have gone over time and time again the Kobold story. I don't think I need to repeat it unless you're the one person out there who doesn't know it. And if you don't know it, I'll happily repeat it. But I assume everybody knows the Kobold thing by now. I've talked about it almost every week for 8 months now. So if you don't know the Kobold thing by now, the website has not been updated. I just like showing this website when we do this every Friday because it's got movement on it. And you can look at something pretty while I'm talking. So, yeah, it's not that it's any different than any other websites I check on Friday. It's just, it's got movement, and movement is cool. Nothing new. No new details. No new things. Same thing, pre-order, alpha release, example characters. Yeah, nothing new. Moving on to Matt Colville, who finally announced last week he's making a game. We have known that this game has been receiving some play testing on his Discord. But other than that, we know very little about it. At one point in time, it was being called Cinematic Fantasy Adventures, and people who had a chance to look at it said it felt a lot more like 4th edition than 5th edition because apparently time and initiative is a huge aspect of this game. And as we know, with the 4th edition engine, there was a lot of things about time and initiative and movement, and that people were always moving and changing, facing, and it was a much more tactical take on D&D than previous or future things. So as of today, we don't know what he's doing with his Fantasy Heartbreaker. His most recent game, Flea Mortals, just came out. It's his MCDM 5th edition monster book. Kickstarter made him a couple millions. It's receiving really good press. The only reaction people are having in it negatively is it took too long. Between the time it was announced and the time they finally got it, there was like a half a dozen other monster books that came out. So people were like, this is a really great book, but I've already got 3 other books that has come out since then that do the exact same thing. At which point I, of course, responded, hey, as long as you're looking to buy a monster book, you could spend $50 on that book, or you could use the link down below to go to the Red Room Publishing and pick up some of my work, which is only like $8. So if you're looking for a book of adventures and you're looking for a book of monsters, you know that I am doing a monthly monster thing for Red Room, and they're $2 a pop. So sure, you could buy Matt Colville's $60 monster book, or you could spend $2 and buy my monster book. I'm just saying. I'm not playing favorites. I'm just saying. The best thing I've heard about Matt Colville this week, of course, is that he was mediocre and inexperienced and had no sway in the tabletop role-playing game community. The guy has made multi-million dollars, has hundreds of followers, is considered one of the huge influencers in the hobby, generally seems to be a nice, down-to-earth dude who still loves the hobby. You can just see it in each one of his videos, how excited he is. You know, he's a more well-polished version of me. He's a bit of a goof. He's excited. He's always passionate, even when he makes mistakes. You know, he's never really has anything bad to say about anything. And this guy's like, oh, yeah, he's mediocre. He's inexperienced. And I'm like, you make a couple $1 million, and then you can badmouth Colville. And finally headed on over to the People's Champ, the Chad Gable of the 5E Wars, advanced 5th up, level up from EN Publishing, my personal favorite. Not that I know anything about this game, and I haven't got around to buying the thing yet, though I did lower the price for the thing, so I might pick it up. They just, did a huge successful Kickstarter for their Level Up 5e box set introductory thing. They've released example characters, which we've taken a look at. It just feels like a slightly more overcomplicated version of what we've seen for 5e. A lot of wasted space on the art, and the way it's laid out makes it feel really more complicated than maybe it actually is. I'm sure there is probably an easier way to do the character record sheets, and they just look like normal 5e character record sheets with just a few minor changes. Timeline-wise, just so you know, Level Up Advanced 5e came out about the same time Tasha's came out, or a few months after. And it was basically their response to the changes that they were making in Tasha's. It's also about the same time Pathfinder 2nd Edition came out. So technically, it has been out since before the January OGL Wars. The reason why it doesn't get as much attention as, say, Paizo or Kobold is because during the January OGL Wars, they didn't do anything. They didn't enter the OGL Wars. They simply kept making the same product they were making before January, from January through February, where the rest of us were calling each other horrible names and threatening to kill each other. They just kept releasing product. And after the OGL Wars came to an end in February, and everybody else was scrambling to be the first out of the gate, they just kept making product. And now that brings us up to today, where it's basically them, Tales from the Valiant, and Shadowdark as the three people who have come out of the OGL Wars with the most positive things to say. Now, you could argue that, no, what about Pathfinders? Like, well, we still don't really know what's going on with the ORC. I talk about that in the other video. Because I do Paizo first before I do this. So that's where things stand today. Here's an example character. And yeah, it seems overly complicated. But I have a feeling that if this was laid out like a normal 5e character record sheet, it probably wouldn't take up any more or less space than any other 5e character record sheet. So the little box set thing is $30 plus shipping and handling. So if you haven't pick it up. I'm way better than Matt, not dissing Matt, just prefer a more jaundiced take on things. Jaundice? You mean my eyes are yellow and my liver's failing? Oh, God, I better go see a doctor. Do you know what that jaundice means there, crap phone? I hope I don't have jaundice. That would be bad. But thank you. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm anywhere close to Colville. Maybe when I make a couple $1 million, you can tell me I'm good to him. But still, and while I'm still begging for $2 for my stuff, Matt is fine to have the crown. I'm happy. I hope we see his game and it kicks ass, because I, for one, loved 4E. I didn't think it was Dungeons and Dragons, but I loved 4E. So yeah, nothing new this week from anybody. No, sorry. Dyslexia is not a system of jaundice, and it's never lupus. I just finished watching all the episodes of House again, my annual yearly September of watching all of House. It's the first time I've watched through all of House that I actually hated House. Normally I love House. I love the characters. I love the interaction. I love the humor. I love the medicine. But this time I was like, God, House really is a fucking asshole. How come nobody sues him or punishes him? But yeah, whatever. I guess I'm old. What was I saying? I guess I have jaundice because I'm losing my memory. Yeah, nothing new this week to report. So yeah. Hey, remember on Tuesday where I said every other game company should take an example from Games Workshop and add that little rumors of the week thing? Kobold, 7D20, Matt Colville, and Level Up. Well, Level Up 5E you don't need to because you do constantly keep pushing your product and reminding your product is there. But everybody else should do that. Literally. Because there are weeks where I give these guys more attention than they give themselves an attention. And if the market wasn't crowded, it'd be fine. You could just rely on your goodwill to coast, that knowing that people would still stay interested, even if you don't say anything for weeks at a time. But now, no, you've got to be the loudest voice in the room. You've got to out yell Wizards of the Coast. You've got to out yell Hank. You've got to out yell Level Up 5E because let's face it, they're posting every goddamn day, guys. So you've got to yell. You got to out yell. You know, you've got to have people constantly talking about you. And when I'm the only person that is constantly on a weekly basis reminding people that these companies are making or not making stuff, that's kind of pathetic, especially since none of them are supporting me. So you should all support me. Support me, Kobold Press. Support me, Matt Colville. Support me, Level Up 5E. I will gladly sell out. But yeah, if I'm the only one who's giving you guys free press, that's not a good sign. I don't think. Well, so I have nothing new to tell you guys about the OGL Wars. Right now, the winner is still Level Up 5E and Shadowdark, but we've still got 3 more months left, so something could happen? Question mark. I don't know. What are you thinking? Let me know. As always, post your comments down below. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, give me a subscribe. It takes you absolutely nothing, and it helps me immensely. Help me reach 2,000 subs by the end of the year. That's my goal. Anything after 2,000 subs is just gravy. The dream was, well, actually, the dream was 1,000. So the fact that 500 more people subscribe was just butter, and I love each and every one of you. I will never say a bad thing about you, except for Mark Hockman. But other than that, yeah, thanks, guys. We'll be back because we've got Wizards of the Coast news, and that takes a whole separate video. Talk to you soon. Get off my land.